Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of my favourite people and some of the most talented stars in the world. And we've got one for you today. Diana Yukawa is the violinist who is gorgeous and a phenomenal, remarkable talent who joins us on the programme now. Diana, good to talk to you again.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
You've got a brand new EP coming out, which I listened to yesterday, Spaces Between Shadows, and again, it is just stunning. You do something with that violin that makes it moving and touching and beautiful. It's a gift, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, that's all I could ever wish for somebody to say, so thank you.
You were born playing, weren't you, really? This is what you were meant to do because it comes so naturally, you do it so perfectly and exceptionally. You are remarkably talented.
Oh, this is really kind of you. Thank you so much. And, I do pretty much feel like I was born playing the violin because I actually can't remember a time when I wasn't playing. So I think it absolutely was my destiny and my calling, and I just feel incredibly fortunate that I'm able, to carry on doing it.
And it's interesting how it's almost part of you. It's like a limb, isn't it? It doesn't seem like something you put against you and play. It becomes part of you.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like it's, an extension of me, and I'm not a singer, but, the way I describe it is that the violin is my voice, and it's just in a different form. So, yeah, I absolutely feel like, I am one with the violin.
When did you know that this could be your life and career? Was there a point when it went from being a hobby and something you enjoyed to being the thing that would define your entire life?
I don't think it was actually ever a hobby. I was desperate to play the violin, and when I eventually had one in my hands and I had a few lessons and a little bit of experience of, studying it, I remember I said, to my mum, this is what I want to do when I grow up. I want to be a violinist, and I want to perform at the Royal Albert Hall. I want to make CDs. This is what I want to do. So I actually don't think it was ever a hobby for me. It was just, it was a kind of love affair with the violin, which has never really ended.
Mm. I spoke to a guy the other week who's a card guy magician who can get a piece of paper and the next minute it turns into a dove and then a swan and then an elephant, and he does it in the click of a finger, and he's spent his whole life doing this. And I wonder whether there's ever a point where it's exhausting, because the more talented you are, the more disciplined you have to be.
Yeah, I think there are obviously times in life with anything where you can feel exhausted, but I think for me the violin is kind of my sanctuary, and it's kind of my sacred space. So in those times of, anything feeling tough or difficult, I actually kind of turn to my music, and it's my outlet, and it's my way of kind of feeling safe. So I've never actually felt tired or exhausted of, music or any of those things. It's kind of the opposite. It's my go-to when I'm feeling like that.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And the world is so small now. When we look at YouTube and SoundCloud and all these places that people can reach you, Facebook and Twitter, you've found this global audience, and that must be thrilling that you're as big on this side of the planet as you are on the other. That's extraordinary.
Yeah, I feel so lucky that, through what I'm doing and my music, it seems to reach different corners of the world, and I just feel incredibly touched when one person, it doesn't matter who they are or where they come from, but if my music can touch somebody, then that's all I ever want. And because of the way the world is working now and how technology is changing and everything is so accessible online and through social media, it's kind of nice that you can actually interact with people on a more personal basis. And I think people like that. They want to know who you are, and they want to know the person behind the music. And I think it's kind of scary sometimes how things are so readily available, but at the same time, I think it's really beautiful that people can enjoy music and then actually, have a little bit of an understanding of who that person is behind what they do.
And I guess that's the deal with the devil, isn't it? You can be a star and be the most talented violinist in the world, but at the same time, we want to know about you. Are you comfortable with that people are curious about your life and do want to follow you on Twitter and know your every move and meal that you're eating?
Yeah, I think it's just, it's the way things work. And I'm probably just as curious about some people, and maybe, when I look on Instagram and things, and I think it's just human nature to be curious. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think as long as you're just putting out there as much as you feel comfortable with, then there's nothing really wrong with it, because you're in control of, what you're putting out there and what you share. So I think, it's just keeping that balance, really.
I wonder whether you realise how talented you are. I mean, you have the gift of beauty and talent, which are the two greatest, in my opinion. Put them together and the alchemy.
You're too kind.
No, I mean it. I'm always amazed by people of your credibility, because, you're not somebody who's gone on a reality show and take your top off and become famous and made $1 million and gone away. This is a life's work and dedication. Do you wonder sometimes why you were picked, whoever picked you, to have these blessings?
I have absolutely no idea why. I've been blessed to be able to have a life where I can call my work, something that I absolutely love. But I just, I think the thing is that I feel very grateful that from such a young age I kind of knew exactly what I wanted to do, and that I've been able to do it, and that people still want to listen, because that's all it means to me. It's everything that my music can touch people and can reach people, and music is a universal language, and I just feel incredibly blessed that I can kind of be a spokesperson for music in that way.
Mm-hmm. I have 1% of your talent, but one of my dreams in life is to stand in front of a live orchestra of the standard that you play with regularly and hear that noise behind me. It must be extraordinary.
It absolutely is, and people sometimes ask me if I prefer being in the studio and writing or performing, and I love both processes very much, but the time when I definitely feel at home is when I'm on stage and when I'm performing, and it's just the most incredible feeling, and the energy and the adrenaline. It's just, it totally feeds my spirit, and it's what I feel like I was meant to do.
Which is your favourite? If you had the choice to perform with any orchestra right now, what would be your go-to orchestra?
My go-to orchestra? I don't know, actually. That's kind of a hard question, because the music that I'm doing now is, it's not obviously strictly classical. So I don't know. I think, there are so many amazing orchestras out there, and if I could, perhaps my dream would be if I could perform my music with an orchestra that I've recorded with and played with before, who I think are fantastic, which is the Royal Philharmonic. So if it could be them performing music that I've written, that would just be, that would be a bit mind-blowing.
How do we describe your music? I think the best way is by saying something along the lines are, you are to the violin what Enya is to classical music. You have a unique sound, and it's anthemic, it's sort of indulgent, it's rich. How do you describe this new album? I mean, I listened to Spaces Between Shadows, which is the new album. It is remarkable, and it's a big sound. It's epic, isn't it?
Well, thank you. I'm glad that you think so. It's always a difficult one to try and explain what kind of genre or how to describe my music, but I think the way I say it at the moment, which I think expresses it the most clearly, is if I say electronic classical, because it's original music that I'm writing, which is obviously in a kind of classical vein, because that's my background, but at the same time it's modern and it's contemporary because it's got electronics and all of those things. So that's generally how I describe it at the moment, but the best thing is obviously to say to somebody, you have to listen to understand. We
last spoke nearly 8 years ago. Anything happened in that time?
Yeah, time is flying. Life is probably quite different now, and I feel quite grown up now that I've turned 30, and I feel like I maybe need to start acting my age, but I actually live in the Cotswolds, on top of a hill with the most incredible view, which is very different to my days of living in central London in the middle of the concrete jungle. And London is an incredible place, and it will always be my home and a huge love of mine, but I definitely felt also for my music and creativity that I wanted to have more space and to be closer to nature. And it's amazing because now I'm moving into a new studio that's been built in the back garden, which it's just incredible, and it's the most wonderful sort of space to have as a writing space and as a recording space. So I feel incredibly lucky, and I'm really excited about what the next decade has to bring. And I think in your 20s, it's all about kind of discovering yourself and working things out. And turning 30, I thought might be a scary thing, but it's not actually at all. I was really excited about it because I feel like I'm in a really good place, and I'm really, I'm more sure of who I am these days. So no, I feel like I'm on the right path, and being surrounded by so much beauty, it can't fail to inspire you.
Well, it's that thing also, you've nothing to prove at this point. Once you've had hit albums and you've had the wonderful tours that have been successful, at this point, it's just being consistent. I always say the hardest thing about showbiz, anybody can get a number one, but it's getting a second number one. Anybody can sell one ticket, but it's selling 2, 5, 1,000 for 10 years. That's the struggle, isn't it? To keep yourself relevant and current and as good as you were.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about, not being a passing trend, and I think, that's something that I've always been quite aware of, especially as I started, as a child, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I've always been very aware that I need to prove myself, but I don't think it's actually really to anybody else apart from myself. I think I'm always trying to prove to myself that I'm still improving or expanding my horizons, and I think it's very much a personal thing. It's not so much about trying to prove to the outside world that you're still relevant. I think it's a kind of inward journey.
Yeah. You're so humble, and your humility is inspiring. I don't think you have any idea how amazing and beautiful your music is. It really is astounding, and I congratulate you on another wonderful CD. Spaces Between Shadows is out on the 18th of December. You can get it via your website, which is
DianaYukawa.com, and the physical release is on the 18th of December, and we're doing a limited amount of signed CDs, and then it will be released online from January the 22nd.
Brilliant. Always lovely to see you. Let's meet up again very, very soon in person, and I'll come and see you live, because you are truly one of the world's most remarkable talents, and I thank you for your time. Diana Yukawa's new CD is available from December 18th. You can find out more by going to her website, dianayukawa.com. Great to talk to you.